Amazon Web Services, AWS, Terminology Flashcards. Set 6. Consolidated Billing. Consolidated billing is a feature of the AWS organization's service for consolidating payment for multiple AWS accounts. You create an organization that contains your AWS accounts, and you use the management account of your organization to pay for all member accounts. You can see a combined view of AWS costs that are incurred by all accounts in your organization, and you can get detailed cost reports for individual accounts. Container. Container is a Linux container that was created from a Docker image as part of a task. Container Instance. Container Instance is an Ec2 instance that is running the Amazon Elastic Container Service, Amazon ECS, agent and has been registered into a cluster. Amazon ECS tasks are placed on active container instances. Content Delivery Network, CDN. Content Delivery Network, CDN, is a web service that speeds up distribution of your static and dynamic web content such as .html, .css, .js, media files, and image files to your users by using a worldwide network of data centers. When a user requests your content, the request is routed to the data center that provides the lowest latency, time delay. If the content is already in the location with the lowest latency, the CDN delivers it immediately. If not, the CDN retrieves it from an origin that you specify, for example, a web server or an Amazon S3 bucket. With some CDNs, you can help secure your content by configuring an HTTPS connection between users and data centers, and between data centers and your origin. Amazon CloudFront is an example of a CDN. Continuous Delivery. Continuous delivery is a software development practice in which code changes are automatically built, tested, and prepared for a release to production. Continuous integration. Continuous integration is a software development practice in which developers regularly merge code changes into a central repository, after which automated builds and tests are run. Core Node. Core Node is an Ec2 instance that runs Hadoop map and reduce tasks and stores data using the Hadoop Distributed File System, HDFS. Core nodes are managed by the master node, which assigns Hadoop tasks to nodes and monitors their status. The Ec2 instances you assign as core nodes are capacity that must be allotted for the entire job flow run. Because core nodes store data, you can't remove them from a job flow. However, you can add more core nodes to a running job flow. Cross-region replication. Cross-region replication is a solution for replicating data across different AWS regions, in near real time. Customer Gateway. Customer Gateway is a router or software application on your side of a VPN tunnel that is managed by Amazon VPC. The internal interfaces of the Customer Gateway are attached to one or more devices in your home network. The external interface is attached to the Virtual Private Gateway, VGW, across the VPN tunnel. Customer Managed Policy. Customer Managed Policy is an IAM managed policy that you create and manage in your AWS account. Data Consistency. Data consistency is a concept that describes when data is written or updated successfully and all copies of the data are updated in all AWS regions. However, it takes time for the data to propagate to all storage locations. To support varied application requirements, Amazon Dynamodb supports both eventually consistent and strongly consistent reads. DB Instance. DB Instance is an isolated database environment running in the cloud. A DB instance can contain multiple user-created databases. DB Parameter Group. DB Parameter Group is a container for database engine parameter values that apply to one or more DB instances. DB Security Group. DB Security Group is a method that controls access to the DB instance. By default, network access is turned off to DB instances. After inbound traffic is configured for a security group, the same rules apply to all DB instances associated with that group. Dedicated host. Dedicated host is a physical server with Ec2 instance capacity fully dedicated to a user. Dedicated instance. Dedicated instance is an instance that is physically isolated at the host hardware level and launched within a VPC. Dedicated reserved instance. Dedicated reserved instance is an option that you purchase to guarantee that sufficient capacity will be available to launch dedicated instances into a VPC. Delete marker. Delete marker is an object with a key and version ID, but without content. Amazon S3 inserts delete markers automatically into versioned buckets when an object is deleted. Description property. Description property is a property added to parameters, resources, resource properties, mappings, and outputs to help you to document AWS CloudFormation template elements. Dimension. Dimension is a name-value pair, for example, instance type equals m1.small, or engine name equals mysql, that contains additional information to identify a metric. Discussion forums. Discussion forums is a place where AWS users can post technical questions and feedback to help accelerate their development efforts and to engage with the AWS community. The discussion forums are located at https://forums.aws.amazon.com. Distribution. Distribution is a link between an origin server, such as an Amazon S3 bucket, and a domain name, which CloudFront automatically assigns. Through this link, CloudFront identifies the object you have stored in your origin server. Docker image. Docker image is a layered file system template that is the basis of a Docker container. Docker images can comprise specific operating systems or applications. Domain name system. Domain name system is a service that routes internet traffic to websites by translating friendly domain names like www.example.com into the numeric IP addresses like 192.0.2.1 that computers use to connect to each other. Donation button. Donation button is an HTML-coded button to provide an easy and secure way for US-based, IRS-certified 501(c)(3) nonprofit organizations to solicit donations. Dynamodb stream. Dynamodb stream is an ordered flow of information about changes to items in an Amazon Dynamodb table. When you enable a stream on a table, Dynamodb captures information about every modification to data items in the table. Ec2 Compute Unit, ECU. Ec2 Compute Unit, ECU, is an AWS standard for compute CPU and memory. You can use this measure to evaluate the CPU capacity of different Ec2 instance types. Ec2 Instance. Ec2 Instance is a compute instance in the Amazon Ec2 service. Other AWS services use the term Ec2 Instance to distinguish these instances from other types of instances they support. Edge location. Edge location is a data center that an AWS service uses to perform service-specific operations. For example, CloudFront uses edge locations to cache copies of your content, so the content is closer to your users and can be delivered faster regardless of their location. Root, Y53 uses edge locations to speed up the response to public DNS queries. Elastic. Elastic is a company that provides open-source solutions including Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, and Beats that are designed to take data from any source and search, analyze, and visualize it in real time. Elastic IP address. Elastic IP address is a fixed, static, IP address that you have allocated in Amazon EC2 or Amazon VPC and then attached to an instance. Elastic IP addresses are associated with your account, not a specific instance. They are elastic because you can easily allocate, attach, detach, and free them as your needs change. Unlike traditional static IP addresses, elastic IP addresses allow you to mask instance or availability zone failures by rapidly remapping your public IP addresses to another instance. Elastic Load Balancing. Elastic Load Balancing is a web service that improves an application's availability by distributing incoming traffic between two or more Ec2 instances. Elastic Network Interface. Elastic Network Interface is an additional network interface that can be attached to an instance. Elastic Network Interfaces include a primary private IP address, one or more secondary private IP addresses, an elastic IP address, optional, a MAC address, membership in specified security groups, a description, and a source/destination check flag. You can create an elastic network interface, attach it to an instance, detach it from an instance, and attach it to another instance. Elasticsearch. Elasticsearch is an open-source, real-time distributed search and analytics engine used for full-text search, structured search, and analytics. Elasticsearch was developed by the Elastic Company. Encryption Context. Encryption context is a set of key-value pairs that contains additional information associated with AWS Key Management Service, AWS KMS, encrypted information. Endpoint. Endpoint is a URL that identifies a host and port as the entry point for a web service. Every web service request contains an endpoint. Most AWS products provide endpoints for a region to enable faster connectivity. Environment configuration. Environment configuration is a collection of parameters and settings that define how an environment and its associated resources behave. Eventually consistent read. Eventually consistent read is a read process that returns data from only one region and might not show the most recent write information. However, if you repeat your read request after a short time, the response should eventually return the latest data. Exbibide, EIB. Exbibide, EIB, is a contraction of exa binary byte, and exbibide is 2 to the power of 60th or 1,152,921,504,606,846,976 bytes. An exabyte, EB, is 10 to the power of 18th or 1,000,000,000,000,000,000,000,000 bytes. 1024 EIB is a zettabyte, ZIB. Explicit Launch Permission. Explicit Launch Permission is an Amazon Machine Image, AMI, launch permission granted to a specific AWS account.